The history of Ramadan begins in the sacred month when the command to fast was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Before this, the people of Arabia lived in a tribal society with traditions and customs shaped by their environment. Fasting was not unknown to them. Some tribes practiced fasting as a form of penance or devotion, but it was not regulated. Then, in the second year after the Hijrah, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, received a divine revelation in Medina. The Quranic verse was revealed, "O you who believe, fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may attain taqwa." Surah Al-Baqarah 2183. With this command, fasting in Ramadan became an obligation upon all Muslims. It was a defining moment in the early days of Islam. The first Ramadan, the struggles and sacrifices. The first Ramadan was a test of faith for the early Muslims. Life in Medina was still challenging. Many of the believers had recently migrated from Makkah, leaving behind their wealth and possessions. The community was still adjusting to their new home, and resources were scarce. The early Muslims fasted from dawn until sunset, refraining from food, drink, and other physical needs. There were no elaborate iftar meals. Dates and water were the primary means of breaking the fast. The simplicity of their meals reflected the true essence of Ramadan: humility, self-restraint, and gratitude. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions observed the fast with sincerity. Despite their daily struggles, they continued their work, prayed intensely, and spent nights in worship. The first Ramadan was a month of endurance, but it also strengthened the faith of the believers. The Battle of Badr, a Ramadan of trials and victory. During the very first Ramadan in Islamic history, the Muslims faced their greatest test, the Battle of Badr. And I've uploaded a full video about the Battle of the Badr. If you wish to watch, you can click the link in the description or click the icon on the right top of the screen. The Quraysh of Makkah had declared war on the Muslims, and an army of over 1,000 men was marching toward Medina. The Muslims, numbering only 313, were weak in numbers and resources, yet they stood firm in their faith. On the 17th of Ramadan, the two forces met at Badr. Despite fasting and enduring physical exhaustion, the Muslim army stood strong. What happened next would be remembered forever in history. The Muslims, with the help of divine support, achieved a decisive victory. This victory was not just a military success. It was proof that Ramadan was not a time of weakness, but a time of immense strength. The first Ramadan had become a month of both spiritual and physical trials, proving that fasting was more than just abstaining from food. It was a test of resilience and devotion. The revelation of Laylatul Qadr, a night greater than 1,000 months. As the days of Ramadan passed, another momentous event took place, the revelation of Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. This night, which falls within the last 10 nights of Ramadan, was when the first verses of the Quran were revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Indeed, we sent the Quran down during the night of decree. And what can make you know what is the night of decree? The night of decree is better than 1,000 months. Surah Al-Qadr 97, 1-3.
Laylatul Qadr was a night unlike any other. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, encouraged his followers to seek it in the last 10 nights, particularly on the odd nights. It became a time of intense prayer, reflection, and forgiveness. From that moment onward, the final nights of Ramadan became the holiest time of the year, a time when the gates of mercy were open and every prayer was answered. The evolution of Ramadan: Taraweeh, Suhoor, and Iftar. As the years passed, Ramadan began to take on more structure. The practice of Taraweeh prayers, extra nightly prayers performed during Ramadan, was established. Initially, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, prayed them privately, but later they became a communal practice, led by an imam in the mosque. The concept of suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, was also emphasized. The Prophet encouraged his followers to eat something before dawn, even if it was just a sip of water, stating that there was great blessing in it. Iftar, the breaking of the fast, remained simple. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would break his fast with dates and water before performing Maghrib prayer. This tradition continues today, with Muslims worldwide following the same practice. Over time, Ramadan spread across different regions. As Islam expanded, new cultures brought their own traditions to Ramadan while maintaining its core principles. The essence of fasting remained the same: self-discipline, gratitude, and devotion.
The spiritual transformation. Ramadan's true meaning.
Ramadan was never just about abstaining from food and drink. It was about transforming the soul. The month was a time for self-reflection, strengthening one's relationship with Allah, and seeking forgiveness. Fasting teaches patience and empathy for those who are less fortunate. It reminds Muslims of the blessings they often take for granted and encourages generosity. Charity, or zakat, became a fundamental part of Ramadan, as Muslims were urged to give to those in need. The Quran became central to Ramadan. It was in this month that the Quran was revealed, and so reciting it, understanding its meanings, and applying its teachings became a major focus. Ramadan also became a time of deep connection. Families gathered for iftar, communities came together for Taraweeh prayers, and Muslims strengthened their bonds with each other. From its very first revelation to today, Ramadan has remained a month of profound significance. It is a time of hardship, but also of renewal. It is a test of endurance, but also of immense reward.